Welcome, seekers of truth, wanderers of time, and dreamers who dare to peer beyond the veil of history. You are about to embark on a journey unlike any you've taken before. This is not simply a story. It is a living echo of a forgotten world. A world where mortals sought guidance from the voice of the gods, where empires rose and fell by the whispers of a single oracle. Tonight you walk the sacred path to Delphi, where the last oracle still lingers in shadow. As you listen, let your heart open to wonder, for this tale carries both the weight of destiny and the fragility of human choice. Every word you hear will draw you closer to mysteries that once shaped kings, generals, and philosophers. This is not just a video. It is an awakening, a call across the centuries. Stay with me, for what lies ahead is more than history. It is prophecy, it is a mirror, and perhaps, if you dare to look deeply enough, you will find a reflection of your own destiny within the voice of the last oracle. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to stand at the edge of time, to hear a voice that is not of this world, yet shapes everything within it? Imagine the air thick with incense, flames dancing upon sacred altars, and a voice that speaks not in riddles, but in truths too heavy for kings to bear. The Oracle of Delphi was once the most powerful voice on earth. Leaders traveled across oceans, deserts, and mountains to hear her words, words that altered the course of nations. But what happens when the divine voice begins to fade? What becomes of a world when prophecy itself grows silent? This is the story of her final vision, a vision so terrifying, so profound, it was hidden away, buried in silence, waiting centuries for us to uncover. Today you will hear what no emperor, no conqueror, no scholar was meant to hear, the last oracle of Delphi. Listen closely, for what she reveals may not only belong to the past, but to the future we are walking toward. The story begins at dawn, as the first golden rays of sunlight pour over the mountains of Parnassus. The ancient stones of Delphi glimmer faintly, as though reluctant to surrender their secrets to another day. The air is heavy with silence, broken only by the rustle of olive branches and the distant trickle of a hidden spring. Once, this place had been alive with voices, priests, pilgrims, philosophers, and kings. But now, centuries later, only ruins remain. Yet not all is lost. Beneath the crumbling columns and weathered statues lies something that refuses to fade, a whisper. It rides upon the wind, faint and haunting, as though the stones themselves remember the weight of prophecy. It is said that the oracle's voice still lingers here, carried through time itself, waiting for a soul willing to listen. Our protagonist, a lone wanderer, drawn by a force he cannot name, ascends the sacred path. His steps are slow, hesitant, yet filled with reverence. He has heard tales of Delphi since childhood, stories of riddles that shaped the fate of empires. But never did he expect to feel the very air vibrating with mystery. As he kneels by the broken altar, he feels something stir, not outside, but within. The ground trembles faintly, shadows stretch unnaturally long, and then silence breaks. A voice, neither male nor female, old nor young, pierces his mind. You are not the first, nor will you be the last. The gods have fallen silent, but their final words remain. Will you listen? Fear grips him, yet so does awe. The wanderer realizes he has stumbled not upon ruins, but upon the threshold of destiny. The oracle has not vanished. She waits, and her final vision, hidden for centuries, is about to be spoken once more. Chapter 1 closes with the wanderer pressing his hand against the stone, his breath quickening. He whispers back, though uncertain whether he speaks to gods, spirits, or his own madness. I will listen. The wanderer's whispered vow, I will listen, seems to awaken something buried deep beneath the stones. The silence of Delphi is shattered by a low hum, resonant and powerful, vibrating through the very earth. He clutches the altar for balance as a warm gust of wind swirls around him, carrying the fragrance of laurel leaves and smoke. It feels alive, as though the air itself is exhaling. Legends had spoken of the Pythia, the oracle's chosen vessel, who once inhaled vapors rising from the sacred chasm. Through that breath, Apollo himself was believed to speak. Now as the wanderer breathes in, he feels his lungs fill with something more than air. It is heavy, electric, an essence that burns and soothes at once. His heartbeat races. Visions flood his mind. He sees crowds gathered in Delphi centuries ago, kings kneeling in fear, generals trembling before battle, philosophers begging for truths they cannot bear. Their faces blur into a single sea of desperation. He hears their questions, cries for power, for victory, for destiny, and then he hears the oracle's voice answering, her words wrapped in riddles that guided and destroyed. The wanderer gasps, falling to his knees. His body trembles as the unseen presence tightens around him. The air whispers once again, "You breathed the last breath of Apollo, the god has fallen silent, but fragments remain. His voice is yours now, if you dare to carry it." The weight of the moment crushes him. He is no priest, no scholar, only a wanderer lost in time. Yet something within insists this is no accident. He has been chosen, or perhaps cursed, to hear what others could not. The ruins around him seem to blur, fading into another reality. For a heartbeat, he is standing not in ruins, but in Delphi as it once was, marble gleaming, flames burning, chants echoing. The oracle sits upon her tripod, shrouded in smoke, her eyes rolled white, her lips murmuring prophecies. The crowd holds its breath, and then she speaks, not to them, but directly to him. Her words ring clear, heavy with sorrow. The last vision was never spoken. It was buried beneath silence, hidden from kings and emperors. You are the vessel now, you must hear it, and you must choose. The vision collapses. The wanderer finds himself once more among broken stones, gasping for air, the taste of smoke and laurel still upon his tongue. The oracle's presence lingers, waiting, and though fear gnaws at him, his eyes lift with resolve. For the first time he realizes, this is not a journey of discovery, it is a summons, and Delphi itself has chosen him. The wanderer's breathing slows as the last wisps of vapor dissipate into the air. His body trembles, yet a strange calm settles over him, as though something ancient now anchors itself within his soul. He rises unsteadily, brushing dust from his knees, and gazes at the fractured stones around him. They no longer feel like ruins. They feel alive, watching, listening, remembering. A low hum courses through the marble beneath his feet. He steps cautiously, and with each footfall the air grows heavier. Then, from the shadows of the broken amphitheater, voices rise, not one, but many. Whispers float through the air, some in Greek, some in tongues long dead. At first, they are incoherent, layered like overlapping winds, but soon they take shape. They are the echoes of those who once sought the oracle. He hears fragments of desperate cries, a mother begging for her son's safe return from war, a king demanding victory over his enemies, a philosopher pleading for truth beyond mortality. Each voice hangs in the air, disembodied, eternal, carved into time itself. The wanderer clutches his head as the chorus grows louder, filling him with anguish and sorrow. Among the countless whispers, one voice emerges stronger, clearer. It is not of the past, but of the oracle herself. Their questions were many, their hunger was endless, yet none listened for truth, they only listened for victory. The wanderer feels his chest tighten. He realizes that Delphi had never been a sanctuary of wisdom alone. It was a place of bargains, of desperate power, where truth was drowned in the cries of ambition. The oracle had seen not just futures, but the corruption of human desire. The whispers shift into visions. He sees kings who bent their empires to her riddles, battles fought in blood because of her words, cities burned by choices guided through prophecy. The weight of it all bears down upon him, crushing his spirit. For the first time, he wonders if hearing her last vision is a gift or a curse. The voices fall silent, leaving him in breathless stillness. He looks around, and for a fleeting second, the ruins shimmer into their former glory. The amphitheater is full again, men and women weeping, kneeling, shouting for answers. The oracle sits, calm and eternal, her eyes fixed not on them, but on him. Her voice cuts through the silence. You are their echo, wanderer. Their questions live in you. but will you be their answer? The vision collapses once more, leaving only broken stones and fading sunlight. The wanderer stands alone, but he knows the truth. Delphi is not merely ruins. It is memory made flesh, and memory has chosen him. As twilight bleeds across the horizon, the wanderer ventures deeper into the ruins. His steps lead him toward a half-buried chamber, where the scent of burned incense lingers, faint yet unmistakable. The stones here are darker, scorched as though they once held flame. He kneels, brushing away dust, and finds fragments of charred wood and broken offerings, remnants of sacrifices left for gods who no longer answer. A sudden chill courses through the air. From the shadows, a figure takes form, not entirely flesh, not entirely spirit. Cloaked in robes of tattered black, with eyes smoldering like embers, the apparition watches him silently. It is neither the oracle nor a petitioner's echo, but something older, the keeper of ashes, guardian of forgotten fires. The wanderer's heart pounds, but the figure does not move to harm him. Instead, it raises one skeletal hand, scattering a handful of ash into the air. The particles glow faintly, like sparks drifting on an invisible wind. The keeper's voice is low, like crackling fire. Every offering left upon these stones carried a question, a plea, a bargain. Yet what remains of them now? Only ash. The gods take, and men burn. The wanderer feels the weight of those words sink into him. He sees visions in the drifting ash, families sacrificing animals for safe harvests, warriors offering gold for victory, kings burning treasures for divine favor. Each spark bursts into smoke, vanishing instantly. All that remains is ash. The keeper turns to him, its voice heavy with sorrow and warning. To carry the oracle's final vision, you must understand this truth. The gods demand, but they do not give. Their gift is fire, but fire consumes. The wanderer hesitates, but his resolve deepens. He nods. The keeper regards him a final time, then scatters into smoke, leaving only the bitter taste of ash upon the air. The chamber falls silent, yet its lesson lingers. The wanderer rises, aware now that his path will not simply reveal prophecy, it will demand sacrifice. Night falls, and with it comes unease. The wanderer climbs toward the remains of the temple's inner sanctum, where legend once spoke of guardians, creatures bound to protect the oracle's sacred place. The air is thicker here, coiling around him like unseen chains. As he enters, a low hiss echoes from the darkness. The earth beneath his feet trembles. From the shadows a vast serpent uncoils, its scales gleaming like obsidian under moonlight. Its eyes burn golden, reflecting both rage and sorrow. It is not a living beast of flesh, but a spirit of Delphi's forgotten guardian, bound to the ruins even after centuries. The wanderer freezes, his body taut with terror. The serpent encircles him, its massive coils rising like walls. Its voice is not spoken, but pressed directly into his mind. I am the shadow of Python, slain by Apollo, yet never gone. My death gave birth to the oracle's voice. Her words are carved from my blood. The revelation stuns him. He recalls stories of Apollo's triumph, of slaying the great serpent to claim Delphi as his own. But never had he imagined the oracle's power, rooted in that death. The serpent continues, its voice sharp as venom. To hear her last prophecy, you must carry the weight of her first. You must remember that all wisdom is born of violence, and all truth tastes of blood. The wanderer grips his staff tightly, but he does not strike. Instead, he bows his head in reverence. Then I will carry it, he whispers. The serpent's coils loosen. For a moment its gaze softens. Then, like smoke dissolving into night, it vanishes, leaving the wanderer trembling in the temple's silence. The stars above gleam coldly through the broken roof, and the wanderer knows this path is no longer his alone. It is ancient, and it demands courage greater than his fear. The night deepens, and the wanderer's steps echo in the hollow ruins of the once mighty temple. He is weary, but something pulls him onward, a pulse, faint yet insistent, rising from the earth itself. He follows it into a vast chamber, where shattered statues of gods lie scattered across the floor. Apollo, Athena, Zeus, all carved in marble, now reduced to broken faces, arms, and wings. Their silence is heavy, their fragments luminous in the pale moonlight. The wanderer feels the weight of their fall. Once men raised temples in awe, now only ruins remain. But then music begins. Soft, faint, mournful. A hymn. The notes drift like smoke from nowhere and everywhere. They echo through the stone, carrying grief that feels endless. From the shadows, ghostly figures emerge. Priests and priestesses of Delphi, their robes torn, their faces blurred by sorrow. They do not look at the wanderer. Instead, they kneel before the shattered statues, singing their hymn to broken gods. Their voices are haunting, not in anger but in mourning. The wanderer presses his hand to his chest, overwhelmed. He realizes this place is not merely sacred, it is a graveyard for gods. Their power lingers, but their worshippers are gone. The hymn is not for celebration, but for loss. The oracle's voice cuts through the song, quiet yet commanding. The gods are not eternal. They break as men break, and when they fall, they leave only fragments. Do not seek eternity in them, seek truth. The hymn fades. The ghostly choir vanishes into silence. The wanderer is left alone among broken marble and heavy shadows. He understands now, prophecy is not about the glory of gods, but the fragile mortality they share with humankind. The wanderer ventures deeper into the temple's remains, drawn toward a fissure in the earth where faint wisps of smoke curl upward. This, he realizes, must have been the sacred chasm, the very source from which the Pythia once inhaled the vapors of prophecy. Even in ruin, it breathes. The air is warm, pungent, carrying a metallic taste of earth and fire. He kneels, peering into the abyss. The smoke thickens, curling around him like serpents, seeping into his lungs, his eyes, his thoughts. His vision blurs. The ground beneath him vanishes, and he is suspended in an endless void of swirling shadows. Out of the smoke, shapes emerge. Faces, thousands of them, float in the haze. Some are ancient kings, others soldiers, mothers, wanderers like himself. They stare at him with desperate, pleading eyes. Their voices blend into one overwhelming cry. Tell us what we could not know. Tell us what lies beyond. The wanderer gasps, stumbling. The smoke presses against him, wrapping around his chest. He feels suffocated, yet also strangely alive, as though the smoke itself carries fragments of memory. Then from the void, the oracle appears, her body woven from smoke, her face shifting between youth and age, beauty and terror. Her words strike like thunder. This smoke is memory. It is the breath of all who sought prophecy. It clings to you now. You cannot escape it. You will carry their voices. The wanderer falls to his knees, overwhelmed. The oracle extends her hand, smoke flowing from her palm into his chest. He convulses, feeling their memories pierce his soul. Wars fought, loves lost, questions never answered. The pain is unbearable, but within it burns truth. Then, as suddenly as it began, the smoke recedes. The wanderer collapses to the ground, gasping for breath, drenched in sweat. The fissure still smolders before him, but the visions are gone. He now understands the oracle's last prophecy will not be a single voice. It will be the culmination of all voices. The wanderer staggers from the smoke-filled chamber, his lungs raw, his body trembling, yet his spirit is heavier still. Every step feels burdened by the weight of countless voices that cling to him, each memory etched into his bones. He stumbles into a courtyard where the moonlight reveals an ancient basin carved from black stone, its edges chipped and worn by time. The basin is dry, but its surface bears deep crimson stains, marks that never faded. His breath catches. He knows instinctively what this is. The vessel where sacrifices of blood once mingled with sacred rites. Prophecy was never given freely. It was bought. As he kneels before it, the oracle's voice rises, deeper now, more sorrowful than before. Do you understand, wanderer? Truth has always been written in blood. To ask of the divine is to give what mortals value most, life. The air thickens, and suddenly the basin fills, not with water, but with visions of blood spilled through ages. He sees priests guiding trembling animals toward the altar, their cries drowned by chants. He sees generals offering prisoners before battle, and kings spilling their own kin to secure their thrones. The wanderer grips the stone edge, horrified, yet the visions do not stop. He sees rivers of blood washing through battlefields, each drop tied to a prophecy whispered at Delphi. He realizes that every oracle's word, every riddle, every promise was sealed, not only with incense and prayer, but with sacrifice. Then the vision shifts. He sees the oracle herself, weeping silently, her hands stained red. Though she was the vessel, she bore the cost. Every prophecy burned her body, drained her life, left her hollow. Her sacrifice was hidden, but it was the greatest of all. The wanderer recoils, tears burning his eyes. The oracle speaks once more. You would carry the last vision, then know this, you must give. You cannot take prophecy without sacrifice. And the greater the truth, the deeper the wound. Silence falls. The basin dries again, its crimson stains still etched upon the stone. The wanderer rises shakily, heart pounding with dread. He understands now, to hear the final prophecy is not only to listen, it is to bleed. He grips his staff tightly, eyes hardening with grim resolve. The journey is no longer about curiosity or discovery, it is about the price he will pay. The wanderer leaves the basin behind, his heart hammering with dread. The visions of sacrifice cling to him like a second skin, the echo of blood still heavy in his lungs. He walks unsteadily along the sacred way, the moonlight faint upon broken stones. The night is quiet, but it is not peace. It is a silence so dense it presses upon his chest. For a moment he wonders if the voices, the visions were merely madness. The ruins around him are still. No smoke, no serpent, no song, only silence. He stops, closing his eyes, straining to hear something, anything, yet nothing answers. Panic stirs within him. If the oracle has abandoned him, if the voices have ended, then what is left? He feels the silence wrapping around his thoughts, deeper and deeper, until it becomes unbearable. The absence of sound is louder than screams. His knees buckle, and he collapses, clutching his head. Then footsteps, soft, deliberate, echoing through the stones. He looks up, and before him stands a figure draped in white robes, her face veiled, her presence radiant and terrible. The oracle, not a vision of smoke, not a whisper of memory, but a manifestation so vivid he cannot deny her. She does not speak. She only gazes at him, the silence between them heavier than words. The wanderer trembles, his voice breaking as he whispers, "Why do you not answer me?" Her head tilts slightly, but still she does not speak. Instead, her silence thickens, pressing into his chest like a weight. He realizes the truth. Prophecy is not always words. Sometimes it is silence, a silence so absolute it forces mortals to face themselves. He recalls the desperate cries of kings and mothers, the sacrifices and blood. They sought answers because they could not bear silence. But perhaps silence was the answer. Perhaps the gods had withdrawn not because they were cruel, but because humanity was deaf to what silence revealed. The oracle finally raises a single hand, pointing not to him, but to the sky. Her gesture is quiet, her meaning unspoken. The stars above blaze in cold brilliance, infinite, indifferent, eternal. In that moment, the wanderer feels smaller than he ever has, yet closer to truth than words could grant. When he lowers his gaze again, she is gone. Only silence remains. But now he feels its weight, not as torment, but as teaching. The silence is prophecy, and he must carry it. The wanderer rises from the silence with trembling legs, his mind echoing with the oracle's unspoken lesson. He wanders deeper into the ruins until he enters a grand hall, its broken pillars leaning like weary sentinels. Scattered across the ground are fragments of bronze and gold, ornaments, shattered circlets, pieces of crowns that once adorned kings and emperors. He kneels to examine one. The metal is tarnished, yet its shape remains regal. As his fingers brush it, a blinding vision erupts. The hall fills with kings of old, warriors draped in armor, emperors in robes of purple, each bearing crowns heavy with jewels. Their faces are stern, their eyes filled with ambition. They march toward the oracle, their voices rising in desperate unison. Tell us how to win, tell us how to rule. The sound is deafening. The wanderer covers his ears, but the voices pierce his soul. The oracle appears in the vision, seated upon her tripod, her face serene yet sorrowful. She answers each king not with certainty, but with riddles, cryptic words that twist and coil like serpents. Some kings bow in awe, others sneer in rage. Many depart with arrogance, only to fall to ruin. The wanderer watches as crowns topple, empires crumble, cities burn. The weight of every crown is not power, but destruction. The oracle's voice rises above the chaos, speaking directly to him. They wore crowns, but their heads were heavy with fear. Every ruler who came here sought not truth, but reassurance, and so they built thrones of sand. The vision fades, leaving only fragments of broken crowns scattered across the floor. The wanderer stares at them, shaken. He understands now. The oracle's gift was never power, but the mirror of truth. It was rulers who twisted her words into weapons. He turns from the hall, leaving the crowns behind. He does not need their weight. His path is burdened enough. Weary and burdened, the wanderer follows the sound of trickling water. It leads him to a hidden spring nestled among cracked stones. The water glistens beneath the moonlight, impossibly clear, as though untouched by centuries. He kneels to drink, but as his reflection ripples, something unnatural appears. Instead of his own face, he sees countless others, men, women, children, each fading into the next. Their eyes are wide, searching, desperate. These are not strangers. These are the seekers who came before him. Their thirst was not for water, but for answers. The wanderer recoils, but the spring ripples again, and now the oracle's face emerges from the depths. Her eyes bore into his, unblinking, infinite. She speaks not in sound, but in reflection. All who came here sought to see themselves. They thought they came for me, but in truth they came for their own reflection. The water darkens, and the wanderer sees visions of seekers leaning over this same spring, some weeping, others laughing with relief, others screaming in despair. He realizes that the spring never revealed divine truth. It revealed only what each seeker carried in their soul. The oracle merely gave form to what was already within them. He touches the surface, trembling, and his reflection changes again. This time, he sees himself not as he is, but as he fears, lost, broken, hollow-eyed, devoured by voices not his own. He jerks back, gasping, but then the water calms, and another reflection appears. Himself, standing tall, eyes ablaze with strength, carrying the weight of prophecy without crumbling. The oracle's reflection lingers, her voice resonant. Truth is not given, wanderer, it is revealed, and what you see depends not on me, but on you. The water clears, only his own reflection remains. He cups the spring, drinks deeply, and feels renewed, not with answers, but with the strength to face them. The wanderer presses on, his throat still wet from the spring's waters, but his soul restless. The sacred path bends sharply into a hollow cavern, carved deep into the rock. The air is colder here, dry as ancient dust. His footsteps echo strangely, too loudly, as though each step awakens something buried within. As he enters, the moonlight fades, leaving the chamber illuminated only by a faint pale glow. He looks around, and his breath catches. Bones, thousands of them, stacked along the walls in careful, silent order. Skulls with hollow sockets stare from the shadows. These were not sacrifices. These were the nameless, the forgotten pilgrims who died upon the path, and whose bodies were gathered here, resting in eternal silence. Yet silence does not hold. The chamber trembles with whispers, not voices of gods nor kings, but the murmurs of those who never reached the oracle. Their questions were left unasked, their destinies unresolved. The wanderer covers his ears, but the whispers leak into his mind. Was I enough? Did my journey matter? Was there meaning to my life? The air grows heavy, shadows writhe across the bones. The wanderer falls to his knees, overwhelmed, and the oracle's voice rises, not from the air, but from the skulls themselves. The forgotten are never gone. Their voices fill the silence. Their questions weigh upon the living. You must carry not only prophecy, but their unfinished prayers. The bones begin to rattle, skulls tumbling from the walls as if restless. The wanderer grasps his staff, pressing it to the ground, forcing himself to endure. Tears streak his face. He realizes that the oracle's burden was not only kings and rulers, it was the endless cries of the nameless, the forgotten, the countless souls lost to time. When the trembling stops, the chamber is silent once more. The wanderer bows low before the bones, whispering, "I will carry you." His voice is shaky, but resolute. The cavern darkens again. He rises, heavier than before, but more certain than ever. The path leads the wanderer upward again, toward the heart of the temple ruins. He emerges into an open courtyard where a great bronze brazier once stood, now toppled and broken. Scorched stones bear witness to countless flames that once burned in devotion. The scent of ash lingers still. As he approaches, the brazier erupts into sudden fire, though no hand kindled it. The flames roar high, crimson and gold, casting shadows that dance like frenzied spirits across the ruined walls. The heat is suffocating, forcing him to shield his face. In the fire, shapes take form, armies clashing, cities burning, lovers embracing before being torn apart. Every image blazes bright, then dissolves to ash. The wanderer realizes the truth. Fire is not only warmth and light, it is hunger, consuming everything it touches. The oracle's voice rises with the flames. Fire is the gift of the gods, but also their curse. It brings vision and clarity, but it devours all who hold it too long. The fire flares brighter, and within it, the oracle's silhouette appears. Her body is composed of flame, her eyes burning white-hot. She steps forward, reaching toward the wanderer. He raises his hand instinctively, and the flames leap into his palm. Pain sears him, and he cries out, but he does not let go. His hand burns with unbearable heat, yet within the agony, he sees visions, glimpses of truths not yet spoken. He realizes this is the test, to endure fire, to bear its light without being consumed. At last, the flames recede, leaving his hand blackened, scarred, yet still trembling with power. The oracle's voice lingers. The final vision will burn brighter than any flame. If you carry it, you must be willing to burn. The brazier collapses, fire turning to ash once more. The wanderer falls to his knees, clutching his scarred hand, knowing he has taken his first step into the fire of prophecy itself. The wanderer, his hand scarred by fire, stumbles from the courtyard into the quiet of the upper ruins. His body aches, but it is his mind that weighs most heavily. He recalls the oracle's words: truth demands sacrifice, silence teaches, fire consumes. Yet what unsettles him most is a growing realization: prophecy is not destiny, it is decision. He pauses before a cracked marble wall, where faint inscriptions remain, phrases carved by seekers long ago. Each message is fragmented, yet together they tell the same story. I was told what I wished to hear, and I chose wrongly. The air thickens, and once more the oracle appears, not in smoke or flame, but in form, standing before him in simple robes. Her eyes are sorrowful, her presence heavy. For the first time, she speaks directly, without riddles. Understand this, I did not decide for them. I only held a mirror. The burden was theirs. Prophecy is not fate, it is choice. And choice is the heaviest weight of all. Visions surge around him, generals who chose war when peace was possible, kings who clung to thrones instead of mercy, lovers who turned away when truth demanded courage. Each choice carved history's path, not the words themselves. The wanderer collapses under the weight of it. He whispers, "Then the last prophecy, will it not tell me what will be, but what I must choose?" The oracle kneels beside him, her voice soft but piercing. Yes, it will not command you, it will confront you, and you will bear its consequence. The vision fades, leaving him alone again. His scarred hand trembles, but now it clutches not just fear, but resolve. He knows the path forward will not be about answers, it will be about choices, and the greatest of them lies ahead. The path descends into darkness. Guided only by instinct, the wanderer follows a narrow stone stairway that spirals deep beneath Delphi's ruins. The air grows cold and damp, carrying the faint sound of water. At last, he emerges into a cavern where a black river winds endlessly, its surface glimmering with faint light. This is no ordinary water. As he approaches, he sees faces within the current, pale, ghost-like, drifting silently downstream. Their eyes are empty, yet their mouths open and close as though speaking. He realizes with horror what this place is, a river of shadows, the crossing ground of the forgotten dead. He kneels at the bank, entranced. The oracle's voice rises from the waters, echoing with infinite sorrow. Every choice leaves shadows, every life leaves questions unanswered. This river carries them all. The wanderer peers closer. One shadow rises from the surface, a soldier, his chest pierced by unseen spears. His mouth opens in silent anguish, and suddenly the wanderer hears his thought. Was my death worth it? Another rises, a woman clutching an infant, both drifting away. Her whisper is soft, broken. Will anyone remember us? The wanderer clutches his chest, overwhelmed. The river is endless, its current filled with countless faces, each one bearing questions without answers. Then the oracle appears, not upon the bank, but within the river itself. Her form floats above the surface, luminous and cold. Her words strike him like a blade. If you would carry the last prophecy, you must also carry their shadows. The truth is not for you alone, it is for all who came before, and all who will come after. The wanderer hesitates. The river seems bottomless, infinite. How could one soul bear such weight? Yet he steps forward, placing his scarred hand into the black water. The cold sears him, sharper than flame. Faces swirl around his arm, flooding him with their pain, their questions, their longing. He screams, but he does not pull away. When at last he withdraws, his arm is marked with dark veins, like rivers burned into his flesh. The oracle's form fades into the current, leaving him alone on the shore. The wanderer collapses, trembling, but stronger than before. He now carries not only prophecy, but the shadows of countless souls. The wanderer ascends from the cavern of shadows, his scarred hand trembling, his arm veined with black marks that burn faintly under the moonlight. Exhaustion gnaws at him, yet the path guides him to a quiet grove just beyond the ruins. There, beneath silver light, grows a circle of ancient laurel trees, the sacred leaves once worn by priests and kings when approaching the oracle. The grove is eerily still. The wind does not stir, the leaves do not rustle. The wanderer steps into the circle, and instantly the air tightens, as if the grove itself is holding its breath. His scars throb, his chest tightens, and he falls to his knees. From the trees, voices rise. Not whispers this time, but chants, rhythmic and solemn. The grove seems alive, the laurel branches bending toward him like supplicants. In their shadows appear ghostly figures, priests who once cut these branches, binding them into crowns. They approach, their faces hidden, their hands outstretched. One by one they place laurel leaves upon the wanderer's shoulders, his brow, his chest. Each leaf burns like fire against his skin. He gasps, but he does not resist. The oracle's voice fills the grove. Laurel is not triumph, it is burden. Every crown you wear binds you to a fate not your own. Will you wear this crown, wanderer, knowing it will never be removed? The wanderer trembles, his instinct screaming to resist. Yet slowly, with scarred hands he takes the final branch and places it upon his own head. The pain sears through him, but when it fades, A strange calm settles. The crown is invisible to mortal eyes, but he feels its weight pressing on his soul. The grove falls silent. The priests vanish. Only the laurel trees remain, swaying gently now, as if in approval. The wanderer rises, carrying the invisible crown. He knows he has accepted not glory, but a burden that will define him until the end. The wanderer leaves the grove, the invisible crown pressing down upon him. His steps are unsteady, his body trembling under unseen weight. Soon he comes upon a vast hall of ruins, where a grand marble throne sits cracked and half buried in rubble. Its grandeur has long since faded, but its presence commands awe. The wanderer approaches cautiously. The air is thick with dust, each particle glowing faintly in the starlight filtering through the broken roof. He brushes the throne with his fingers, and instantly a vision ignites. The hall is restored. The throne gleams white and gold. Seated upon it is not a king, but countless kings, one after another in a cascade of shifting forms. Each ruler wears a crown of laurel, their faces stern, their voices thunderous. They shout commands, make decrees, demand loyalty. Armies march, cities bow, blood flows, all from the power of the throne. But then the vision shifts. The throne crumbles beneath them, turning to dust. The rulers fall, clawing desperately as their crowns scatter and their voices fade. Their empires collapse into silence. The wanderer falls to his knees, coughing as the dust fills his lungs. Through the haze, the oracle appears, standing beside the broken throne. Her gaze pierces him. Every throne becomes dust. Power is fleeting. What remains is not the seat, but the shadow it casts. Will you chase dust or carry shadow? The wanderer grips the base of the throne, his scarred hand staining it dark. He feels the truth in her words. Every empire that came to Delphi now lies in ruin, every ruler forgotten, yet their shadows linger in history, shaping generations. He rises slowly, brushing the dust from his robes. He does not sit on the throne. Instead, he turns away from it. Power was never his path. His burden is heavier than any throne. The hall collapses back into ruin. The throne cracked once more. The wanderer leaves carrying not dust, but shadow. The wanderer presses deeper into Delphi's heart. The air grows heavy, bitter and sharp, as though the very stones remember treachery. He enters a colonnade where shattered statues of heroes line the path, once honored, now faceless, broken by time. As he walks, the silence shatters. Voices burst forth all around him, rising in a storm of anger and despair. He turns in every direction but sees no one. The voices are many, some trembling, some fierce, all carrying the same note of regret. Then visions sharpen. He sees generals standing before the oracle, swearing loyalty but plotting rebellion. Kings twisting her riddles into lies, using prophecy not as guidance but as a weapon. Lovers swearing devotion, then turning cold the moment destiny offered them another path. Each betrayal echoes louder until the colonnade trembles. The oracle appears among the ruins, her face carved in sorrow. Her voice cuts through the storm. Betrayal is the child of prophecy. Men do not betray because of what I say, but because of what they cannot accept. They turn my words into daggers, then plunge them into one another. The wanderer staggers back, clutching his ears as the voices surround him. A soldier falls to his knees, crying, "She promised us victory, but we were slaughtered." A priest hisses, "Her riddle was clear, yet the king twisted it to madness." A woman's whisper pierces deepest of all. "He swore to stay, but left when the oracle spoke of another fate." The wanderer collapses, his chest heaving under the weight of their cries. He sees it clearly now. The oracle's words were mirrors, but men shattered them to forge blades. Betrayal was never her gift, it was their choice. At last, the voices fade, leaving only dust and broken stone. The oracle lingers a moment longer, her eyes meeting his. "You will be betrayed too, wanderer. Not by gods, not by me, but by those who fear the truth you carry." She vanishes, leaving him alone, shaken but resolved. He knows now that betrayal is not behind him. It waits ahead. At dawn, the wanderer enters a courtyard where a single massive stone rests at the center, cracked but unmoved by time. Its surface glistens faintly, though no rain has touched it. As he approaches, he realizes with awe, it is weeping. From its cracks flow thin rivulets of water, shimmering like tears. He kneels beside it, placing his scarred hand against the stone. At once, a deep tremor runs through him. The stone is alive, not flesh, but memory. The tears are the sorrow of Delphi itself. Visions pour into him. He sees the oracle on her tripod, her body trembling, her eyes rolled white, as she utters prophecies that wound her as much as those who hear them. He sees her collapse, priests rushing to catch her, her lips still whispering truths, too heavy to bear. The stone trembles, recording it all, absorbing her pain when no one else could. The wanderer weeps with it. He feels her exhaustion, the burning in her lungs, the fractures in her spirit. Prophecy was not only burden for those who received it, it was torment for the one who gave it. The oracle's voice rises from the stone, tender yet broken. They thought me blessed, they thought me divine, yet every word carved me hollow. I was not the voice of gods, I was the vessel of their weight, and still they demanded more. The water flows faster, running over the wanderer's hands like cold tears. He whispers, broken, I hear you, I will not demand of you, I will carry it. The stone falls silent, its tears fading into stillness, but the wanderer knows they will never truly stop. The oracle's sorrow is eternal, carved into stone and time. He rises, his heart aching with compassion. More than ever, he understands, prophecy is not glory, it is grief, and now, that grief is his. The wanderer enters the deepest chamber of Delphi, a hollowed hall blackened with centuries of smoke. At its center stands the oracle's sacred tripod, toppled and broken, yet still exuding a faint aura of power. The bronze legs, twisted with age, form the shape of serpents coiling upward, their heads severed. It is said that no one but the chosen Pythia could sit upon it without being consumed. As he steps closer, the air grows suffocating. The black veins in his arm pulse violently. His invisible laurel crown burns against his skull, yet he knows what he must do. The oracle has guided him here, not to witness, but to endure. With trembling hands, he rights the broken tripod and lowers himself onto it. The moment he touches the seat, fire surges through his body. The chamber convulses with sound. Screams, chants, laughter, all at once. His breath shortens. The vapors rising from cracks in the stone curl around him like living serpents. He sees visions of the oracles who came before him. Women trembling, eyes white, their mouths spilling truths they did not choose. Each of them burned from within, their bodies consumed by the weight of prophecy. He feels their pain coursing through his veins, his muscles tearing beneath invisible fire. The oracle's voice thunders, no longer soft or sorrowful, but relentless. If you would bear the last prophecy, you must endure what they endured. You must open yourself. Do not resist. Let it tear you, or you are not worthy. The wanderer cries out, gripping the bronze serpents of the tripod. His body shakes violently. His vision fragments into shards of light and shadow. He feels as though his soul is splitting, torn between madness and revelation. At last, his voice breaks into a scream, then silence. The chamber grows still. He slumps forward, barely breathing, yet alive. He has endured. The oracle's whisper returns, gentle now. You are ready. The vision comes. Collapsed upon the tripod, the wanderer gasps for air, sweat pouring down his face. His body feels broken, but his mind is torn wider than ever before. And then, suddenly, silence. A silence deeper than night, heavier than stone. The air splits. A vision strikes him, not in fragments as before, but in totality, shattering his mind into 1,000 mirrors. He sees empires rising and falling in a single breath. He sees rivers of fire consuming cities yet unborn. He sees faces, some familiar, others from centuries yet to come, pleading, screaming, rejoicing. He sees wars fought not with swords but with voices, with words, with silence itself. The oracle appears before him, luminous, her form too bright to behold. Her voice booms, both infinite and intimate. This is the last prophecy. It will not guide kings nor serve empires. It is not for them, it is for you. You will decide whether the world shall remember or forget. The vision deepens. He sees two paths splitting before him. On one, he speaks the prophecy, unleashing truth upon humanity. A truth so heavy it shatters nations, divides families, burns empires to ash, but awakens a deeper wisdom. On the other, he remains silent, sealing the prophecy forever, sparing the world from ruin, but condemning it to blindness. The choice sears him. His body trembles violently. His scarred hand burns. His veins glow like molten fire. His invisible crown presses into his skull. He feels as if his very soul will collapse under the weight of it. The oracle leans closer, her voice a whisper, like a knife. Truth or silence, wanderer, fire or ash. This is the burden only you can bear. The vision cracks, shards of light exploding around him. He screams as the prophecy floods him, his eyes glowing with unbearable fire, and then, darkness. When he awakens, he is lying on the cold stone floor. The tripod is shattered beyond repair. The air is still. The oracle's presence is gone, but the vision burns within him, eternal, waiting for his choice. The wanderer staggers from the broken tripod, his body weak, his mind aflame with the impossible vision. Yet before he can gather himself, the chamber around him shifts. The air grows thick, shadows crawl across the walls, and voices, smooth, mocking, seductive, rise all around him. He spins, clutching his staff. Figures appear in the darkness, cloaked and faceless. They whisper with voices that slither like serpents. The prophecy is ours. Give it to us. We will make the world bend to its truth. The wanderer shakes his head, retreating, but the shadows close in. Each one takes form. Kings, generals, priests, seekers, all those who once twisted the oracle's riddles to suit their greed. Their faces flicker between pleading and threatening. One voice hisses, "Speak it, and we will crown you king of nations." Another snarls, "Hide it, and you will be cursed as a coward." A third whispers sweetly, "Give it to us, and we will ease your burden." The chamber quakes with their lies. Their promises and threats circle him, a storm of temptation and fear. His scars burn, his veins pulse with shadow. The oracle's voice cuts through, faint but resolute. These are not gods. They are echoes of lies, born from human ambition. Do not trust them. But the wanderer falters. Their words claw at his heart, twisting his doubts. He recalls every sacrifice, every shadow, every sorrow he has carried, and wonders if he has the strength to decide at all. At last he slams his staff to the ground, shouting through the storm, "Be silent. The prophecy is not yours. It was never yours." The shadows howl, their forms unraveling like smoke in the wind. The chamber falls silent, leaving him alone once more. His body shakes with fear, but his soul steels itself. He knows now that the greatest danger is not the prophecy itself, but the lies others would weave around it. Shaken from the chamber of lies, the wanderer stumbles into the night air. Dawn has not yet broken. The ruins glow pale under starlight. For the first time since his journey began, he feels truly alone. The oracle's voice is silent. Only the wind accompanies him now. He walks the sacred way, but the path changes. No longer lined with temples and treasuries, it stretches into a barren road of dust. On either side appear ghostly figures, men and women gaunt, hollow-eyed, carrying bundles on their backs. Their clothes are ragged, their steps heavy. They are the exiles, those who sought the oracle and were broken by her truth. They trudge endlessly, never looking up, never speaking. Some clutch torn scrolls, others broken weapons, others only empty hands. Their faces are carved with despair. The wanderer watches in horror as they stumble and fall, only to rise again and walk on. The path stretches without end, a road of exile leading nowhere. The oracle's voice returns, mournful, these are the forgotten. They came seeking truth, but when it was revealed, they could not carry it. They turned from Delphi in shame, cursed by their own weakness. They walk forever, unable to find home. The wanderer trembles. He sees himself among them, his own face hollow, his steps endless. The thought terrifies him. He whispers, "Am I doomed to be one of them?" The oracle answers softly, "That choice is yours." He grips his staff tighter, forcing his steps forward. The exiles pass through him like mist, their forms fading, yet their despair lingers in his chest. He knows now the danger is not only betrayal, it is surrender. To falter would mean to walk forever among the forgotten. He vows quietly, voice shaking, "I will not walk that road." The path clears. The ruins of Delphi reappear, but the memory of the exiles remains. The wanderer continues, his resolve sharpened by fear and sorrow. The wanderer, still haunted by the silent procession of exiles, makes his way back into Delphi's heart. He expects silence, yet the air trembles, heavy with sorrow. The ground hums, as if the stones themselves are grieving. He enters a half-collapsed chamber, its walls lined with shattered frescoes, paintings of the oracle in her glory, seated upon her tripod, surrounded by kings and priests. Yet each fresco is cracked through the face of the oracle, her image erased by time and neglect. At the center of the chamber, she appears, not radiant, not fierce. This time, her figure flickers, fragile, fading like smoke in wind. Her veil is torn, her shoulders bent. For the first time, she looks less like a divine presence, and more like a weary human. Her voice is soft, trembling. "Do you know what it is to be worshipped as divine, yet broken as mortal? They came to me, as though I were a god, but I was only a woman. Every vision tore pieces from me. Every prophecy was a wound." The wanderer lowers his head, unable to speak. The oracle steps closer, her form dimming. "I gave them truth, yet they cursed me when it cut them. I gave them warning, yet they blamed me when ruin came. They did not want truth, they wanted lies that soothed, and so they made me their prisoner." Visions filled the chamber, priests surrounding the oracle, binding her to the tripod, even when her body convulsed with exhaustion. Kings shouting, demanding clearer answers, their rage striking her like whips. She screams through the visions, her voice breaking, "I was not a goddess, I was a cage for their hunger." Tears blur the wanderer's vision. He steps forward, whispering, "You were never their prisoner, you are truth itself." The oracle lifts her eyes, faint light returning to them. "If you believe that, then you must carry what I could not. My final lament is this: I gave them everything, and they gave me nothing but silence. Do not let my voice fade into dust." Her form dissolves into faint light, scattering like embers. The chamber falls quiet again, but the wanderer knows he carries her sorrow now, as heavy as any crown. The wanderer stumbles from the oracle's lament, his chest heavy with grief. The path twists downward, deeper than he has ever gone, until he emerges into a vast cavern lit by a pale, shifting glow. Before him stretches a river unlike any other. Its waters shimmer not with reflection, but with fragments of moments, wars, births, deaths, crowns and ruins, flowing endlessly. He realizes with awe and terror, this is the river of time, the eternal current, where all that was, all that is, and all that will be converge. He kneels at its bank, staring into the current. A soldier rides to battle and falls in the mud. A child is born and grows old in an instant. A city rises in gold splendor, only to collapse into fire. Every image shifts as swiftly as water, each moment dissolving into another. The oracle's voice rises, echoing like thunder from the current. This river carries all. To know prophecy is to see, not just what may be but what has been, and what shall be again. Time is not a line, wanderer. It is a river, and it always returns. The wanderer dips his scarred hand into the water. Instantly, visions surge into him. He sees himself as a child, lost in a forest. He sees himself as an old man, weary and broken. He sees futures where he is king, futures where he is forgotten, futures where he never lived at all. His body convulses under the flood. He pulls his hand back, gasping, veins glowing bright against his skin. He understands the danger. To look too long is to drown. The oracle appears, luminous, her form flowing with the river. She raises her hand toward him. You cannot master the river. You can only step within it. The final prophecy is carved in its depths. But to see it whole, you must risk being swept away. The wanderer looks at the river, fear and awe battling within him. The current roars louder, calling to him. He whispers, trembling, "Then I will step." The scene fades as he takes his first step into the river of time, the current curling around his feet, pulling him toward destiny. The wanderer steps into the river of time. At first, the current is gentle, lapping at his legs, its glow soothing like moonlight. But soon the water rises, pulling him deeper. His chest tightens as waves of vision crash against his mind. He sees kings, so many kings, rising from the water, their crowns gleaming, their eyes wild. They thrash in the current, gasping, clawing, drowning in the weight of their own ambition. Their jeweled crowns sink like anchors, dragging them beneath the surface. One king locks eyes with the wanderer, his mouth opening in a soundless scream. In his gaze is terror, not majesty. The wanderer stumbles, realizing with horror that these rulers were not destroyed by their enemies, but by time itself. No crown floats forever. The oracle's voice booms from the waters. Behold the drowned kings. They came here seeking to escape death, to cheat time. But the river carries all, even thrones are swallowed. The wanderer clutches his chest as the current drags at him. He feels phantom hands pulling him down, the crowns of the drowned pressing onto his head, one after another. He gasps for air, his scarred hand glowing with fire as he resists the pull. Visions surge around him, empires burning, thrones collapsing into dust, kings gasping their last breath. He understands, power cannot withstand time. No crown escapes the river. With a cry of defiance, the wanderer tears the phantom crowns from his head and hurls them into the current. The drowned kings howl and sink into the depths, swallowed by eternity. Exhausted, the wanderer clings to his staff, his body trembling but his spirit burning. The river rises higher, demanding more. The river pulls harder, dragging the wanderer deeper until he is nearly submerged. His breath is ragged, his body trembling, yet the visions do not relent. Now the water brightens, not with images of the past, but of futures yet unborn. He sees children playing in fields of green, laughing, free of fear. Then the vision shifts, other children weeping in ruins, their small hands clutching stones, their eyes wide with hunger. The river flows with both, joy and despair entwined. The wanderer gasps, clutching his staff, struggling to understand. The oracle's voice rises, softer now, tender yet unyielding. The prophecy you carry will not shape only kings, it will shape the children of tomorrow. Their laughter, their sorrow, these will be the measure of your choice. He sees futures branching in countless directions. One path glows bright, children learning, growing, building a world free of the scars of war. Another burns dark, children marching to battle, their faces hardened before their time. The wanderer collapses to his knees within the current, overwhelmed by the weight of futures not yet written. His scarred hand glows, pulsing like a heart. He whispers, "How can I choose for them? How can one soul bear so much?" The oracle appears within the river, her form luminous and vast, her gaze both merciful and stern. Every prophecy is a seed, wanderer. What you plant today will feed or starve tomorrow. The children will live with what you choose, though you will never see their faces. Tears stream down his cheeks. He reaches toward the glowing futures, his fingers brushing against the light. The visions flicker, children laughing, children suffering. The choice is unbearable. The river surges, dragging him deeper, demanding he accept the burden. His lungs scream for air, yet he holds fast, gripping his staff. his body burning with both fear and resolve. At last, the visions fade, leaving him gasping, chest heaving, still alive. But the truth remains carved into his soul. The prophecy is not about kings or crowns. It is about the countless nameless children of tomorrow. The river releases the wanderer at last, casting him back onto the stone path. He collapses, gasping, his robes soaked with light that fades slowly into shadow. His body is trembling, his scars burning like molten fire. Yet even in exhaustion, the path pulls him onward. He enters a chamber filled with cracked columns and shattered icons. At its center, dozens of ghostly figures wait. They wear robes like the Pythia, crowns of laurel, staffs of authority. At first, they look holy, but as their faces come into focus, he sees only hunger. Their eyes glint with greed, their smiles twisted with deceit. These are the false prophets, those who claimed the oracle's mantle after her silence, twisting her absence into power. They speak in unison, their voices sharp and honeyed. We gave them what they wanted. We told them victory was certain, even when it was not. We promised them peace, even as we led them to war. They did not want truth. They wanted lies, and we were glad to sell them. The wanderer recoils, but the figures close in, circling him. Their voices grow louder, offering their poisoned gifts. Speak the prophecy, wanderer, and you too can be adored. Silence it, and you too can be worshipped as mystery. Twist it, and you will never bear the weight of truth. The oracle's voice rises, thunderous. Beware them. They are not vessels of truth, but merchants of comfort. They do not carry prophecy. They poison it. The wanderer grips his staff, defiant, but their voices claw at his mind. For a heartbeat, he feels the temptation. How easy it would be to lie, to twist the truth into something sweet instead of unbearable. He could be free of suffering, adored as they were. Then he slams his scarred hand to the floor, fire surging from his veins. No, he cries, the prophecy is not mine to sell. The false prophets shriek, their forms unraveling into smoke. The chamber collapses into ruin, leaving him alone, shaking but unbroken. He understands now to carry the last prophecy. He must resist, not only lies told by others, but the temptation to become a false prophet himself. The wanderer presses forward, his body weary, his soul aflame. He enters a small chamber, unadorned, its walls smooth like glass. At its center stands a single black mirror, tall and seamless, reflecting not the chamber, but only him. He approaches cautiously. His reflection stares back, weary and scarred, the laurel crown glowing faintly, the veins of fire running up his arm. But then the reflection changes. In the mirror he sees himself crowned and adored, standing before vast crowds who cheer his name. In another, he sees himself broken, hollow-eyed, stumbling among the exiles. In another, he sees himself silent, fading into obscurity. In another, he sees himself speaking the prophecy, only for the world to burn in chaos. Each image pierces him. Each reflection feels possible. The mirror shifts endlessly, himself as savior, himself as destroyer, himself as coward, himself as king. The oracle's voice rises from the glass. The greatest enemy of prophecy is not kings, not priests, not empires. It is you, for within you lies fear, pride, weakness, and hunger. Will you face yourself? The wanderer trembles, tears streaking his face. He raises his hand to the glass, and his reflection grips him in return. The mirror shatters. Shards scatter across the floor, each shard showing a different version of him, laughing, screaming, dying, ruling. He collapses to his knees, clutching his chest. The oracle's whisper lingers. The prophecy will be carried not by who you dream to be, but by who you are. Do you accept yourself, wanderer? His voice breaks, but he whispers, yes. The shards vanish, leaving the mirror black and empty. He rises slowly, his body trembling, but his spirit steadier than ever. For the first time, he does not fear who he is. The wanderer emerges from the chamber of mirrors, his face wet with tears, his chest heavy with the echoes of himself. His body is frail, scarred, and trembling, yet he feels something new stirring within, a fire not of destruction, but of endurance. The path leads him upward once more, toward Delphi's highest point, the broken platform where once stood the temple of Apollo in all its glory. Now only jagged stones remain, scattered like bones beneath the sky. The night is fading, dawn begins to paint the horizon in hues of crimson and gold. As he climbs, the air grows hotter, flames lick at the stones, rising from cracks in the earth. The mountain itself seems alive, the fire of the world surging upward to meet him. He stumbles, coughing, but presses on. Each step burns his feet, each breath sears his lungs, yet he does not turn back. At the summit, the fire erupts into a storm. Columns of flame spiral into the air, their heat bending the dawn sky. The oracle appears within the fire, not fragile, not broken, but radiant, her body woven entirely from flame and light. Her eyes blaze with sorrow and power. Her voice thunders across the mountain. Wanderer, you have carried ashes, shadows, crowns, and lies. You have faced kings, children, and yourself. Now you stand where all paths end. The final prophecy burns within me still, but if you take it, you will never be the same. Do you step into fire? Ah! The wanderer grips his staff, his scars throb, his veins glow, his invisible laurel crown burns against his skull. He knows this is the threshold. Either he steps forward and is consumed, or he turns back and betrays all he has carried. He takes one breath, and then he steps into the fire. Agony, the flames pierce every nerve, every thought. He screams, his voice tearing into the dawn. His flesh feels as though it is stripped away, leaving only light. Yet within the agony lies clarity. 1,000 voices silenced, 1,000 visions merging into one. The oracle reaches out, her hand of fire pressing against his chest. Then bear it, bearer of flame, bear the last prophecy. The fire swallows him whole. The fire dims. The wanderer collapses onto the scorched stones, his robes smoldering, his body shaking as though hollowed out. His eyes burn with light not his own. His scars glow like molten rivers. His breath shallow, yet he still lives. Then it begins. The vision. It does not come in fragments, but in totality, searing through every corner of his mind. He sees the world entire, not past, not present, not future, but all at once. Empires rise and fall like waves. Cities burn and are rebuilt. Children laugh, then cry, then vanish into dust. The earth itself trembles, heals, trembles again. At the center of it all stands humanity, reaching, yearning, struggling, always seeking answers, always deaf to silence. He sees that every prophecy ever spoken was not a map of the gods, but a mirror of mankind. The truth was never divine, it was human, fragile, terrible, beautiful. And then the oracle's voice fills him, not thunderous, not sorrowful, but clear. The last prophecy is not what will be, it is what you choose to speak. If you reveal what you have seen, the truth will burn the world. If you remain silent, the world will stumble in blindness, but it will endure. Both paths are ruin, both paths are mercy. You must choose. The wanderer collapses, clutching his chest. The vision swirls, showing him the two paths, one where truth shatters nations, families torn apart, faiths broken, but from the ashes, wisdom rises, and generations learn to see without gods. Another, where silence preserves order, thrones remain unchallenged, and the people never learn. They survive, but in chains of ignorance. His tears burn as they fall, sizzling on the scorched stones. He whispers, "Why me?" The oracle appears beside him, her flame diminished, her face tender. Because you listened when others demanded, because you bore the silence, because you chose to walk where kings and beggars alike faltered. That is enough. The vision fades, but the choice remains carved into his soul. He has carried the prophecy. Now he must decide whether to speak it, or let it die with him. The wanderer stumbles from the scorched summit, the last prophecy burning within him. His body trembles, his scars glowing faintly, his eyes hollow yet radiant. The ruins lie silent, but he no longer feels alone. Something stirs in the shadows of Delphi. Not phantoms, not gods, but men. Figures step forward, cloaked and armed. They are seekers, drawn by rumor of the oracle's final vision. Their faces are sharp with hunger, their hands clutching blades and staffs. They surround him, eyes burning with desperation. One steps closer, snarling, "You heard it, didn't you? The last prophecy, give it to us." The wanderer shakes his head, his voice hoarse, "It is not mine to give." They sneer, "Every prophecy belongs to the world. Speak it, or we will take it." The oracle's warning echoes in his memory. You will be betrayed, not by gods, but by men. The seekers close in, their voices rising, pleading, demanding, threatening. They speak of kings who will pay for his words, of empires that will kill for them, of people who will worship him if he shares. Their hands grip their weapons tighter. The wanderer staggers back, his chest burning, his staff glows faintly, his scars pulsing. He cries out, "You cannot have it. You would twist it, break it, drown the world in lies." But the seekers do not relent. One lunges, striking him across the face. He falls, blood mingling with dust. Another kicks his staff from his grasp. Pain floods him, but within it burns defiance. He struggles to his knees, whispering, "Better I die with it, than let you poison it." The seekers hesitate, unnerved by the fire in his voice. The oracle's presence flickers faintly behind him, a shadow of flame that makes them recoil. For a moment, they see not a broken man but something greater, vessel of fire, bearer of silence. They retreat, vanishing into the ruins, leaving him bloodied, gasping. The betrayal of flesh has come, but he has endured. Still, he knows it will not be the last. The wanderer staggers into the sanctuary of dawn. Blood stains his robe. His staff leans broken against his shoulder, but the fire in his veins still glows. The last prophecy presses against his soul like a weight that cannot be set down. He wanders through Delphi's empty avenues. No voices remain, no priests, no kings. Only ruins and silence. Yet within him, countless voices scream, the drowned kings, the forgotten pilgrims, the children of tomorrow. Each one demands he speak, each one demands he act. The oracle's voice rises, soft, sorrowful. You carry them all now. Every voice, every shadow. You cannot silence them without silencing yourself. Yet if you speak, the world will burn. This is the burden of silence. He collapses onto the steps of a broken column, pressing his hands to his face. Tears mix with blood, falling onto the stone. His mind fractures between the two paths, to speak and destroy, to remain silent and condemn. Visions swirl before him, empires trembling, children starving, cities crumbling, mothers weeping. Yet woven within are flashes of hope. A world awakened, lies stripped away, truth revealed. His heart lurches between ruin and salvation, never certain which is which. He whispers to the oracle, "Why give me a choice that breaks me?" Her voice answers, gentle, "Because prophecy is not command, it is freedom, and freedom is heavier than chains." The wanderer weeps. He understands now that silence is not escape, it is responsibility. Whether he speaks or not, both paths are wounds, but only he can bear them. As the sun rises, its light spills over Delphi's ruins, painting the stones gold. The wanderer lifts his head. His eyes are hollow, yet resolute. He clutches his broken staff and rises slowly, a man scarred beyond recognition, but unbroken. The burden of silence is his, and he will carry it until the end. The sun climbs higher, bathing Delphi in a golden glow. The wanderer stands upon the temple steps, battered, scarred, and trembling. For the first time since his journey began, there are no visions, no whispers, no phantoms. The ruins lie utterly still. He looks around, waiting for the oracle's voice, but none comes. She is gone. Her flame has passed into him, leaving only silence. The realization pierces him. The gods are gone. The voices are gone. Delphi is nothing but stone and ash. He is the last vessel of prophecy, but even prophecy cannot hold him forever. He steps into the temple's shattered courtyard, gazing at the horizon. His mind aches with the last prophecy, its twin paths still burning in him, truth that could shatter the world, or silence that could preserve it in blindness. He feels the weight of both pressing upon his soul, and then he understands there will be no answer, no God to command him, no oracle to guide him. The silence is the answer. Humanity must choose for itself. He can speak or he can remain silent, but either way, the world will go on. He lifts his scarred hand toward the rising sun. For a moment it glows with fire, as though the oracle's voice lingers within him. His lips part, but no words come. He lowers his hand, trembling. The silence is unbearable, yet it is sacred. It is the last gift of Delphi. The wanderer turns from the ruins. His steps are heavy, his staff broken, his body weary, but his eyes burn with a strange peace. He is no longer seeking answers, he is carrying them. The wanderer descends the mountain path, leaving Delphi behind. Each step feels like a farewell, not only to the ruins but to the gods, to prophecy, to a world that no longer exists. Birds sing faintly in the distance, their voices fragile but alive. At the edge of the path, he turns for one last look. The ruins shimmer in the dawn, their broken stones glowing as though aflame. He sees not rubble but memory, the echo of countless pilgrims, kings, priests, and seekers who once climbed here in desperation. Their voices linger in him still, but no longer as torment. They are quiet now, resting. He whispers into the wind, "It is done." The oracle's voice rises faintly within him one final time, softer than breath, tender as a farewell. "Then you are the last, wanderer, the last oracle of Delphi. Carry not the words but the silence. Let it be your gift." Tears burn his eyes. He bows low to the ruins, then turns and walks into the world below. His scars ache, his body broken, but his heart steady. He does not know if he will speak the prophecy. Perhaps he will keep it until death. Perhaps one day he will whisper it to another. But the choice at last is his. The camera lingers as he disappears down the mountain path. The ruins of Delphi glowing in the distance under the rising sun. Silence fills the air, not empty, but eternal. Delphi has spoken, and now it will never speak again. Dear traveler of stories, seeker of truths, thank you for walking with me through the ruins of Delphi. You have witnessed the fire, the shadows, the grief, and the silence. You have walked beside the wanderer as he bore the weight of kings, the cries of the forgotten, and the voices of tomorrow. And now, like him, you stand at the edge of choice. For the Oracle of Delphi was never only about the past. She was about us, our hunger for answers, our fear of silence, our struggle to choose when no choice is without cost. The last prophecy is not bound to the wanderer alone. It is bound to all who listen. So I leave you with this: the silence of Delphi is not empty. It is waiting for you. To what truth will you carry? What fire will you choose to light? What silence will you guard? As you step from this story back into your own life, remember, prophecy is not command, it is freedom, and freedom is heavier than chains. Thank you for walking this path, and may you find your voice within the silence.